Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. My name is Darren from Martin Akpan and I am a technical program manager in the HPC and AI benchmarking team at Azure. Today we will be running the T5 training benchmark using NVIDIA JAX container on Azure's NDm A100 v4 virtual machines. These virtual machines are powered by NVIDIA's A100 80GB tensor core GPUs and backed by NVIDIA's quantum InfiniBand. Running the T5 training benchmark is a three-step process. First, we need to set up our Cycle Cloud cluster and environment. Next, download our model and data set. Then we are ready to run our benchmarks. To set up your Cycle Cloud cluster, please pause the video and follow the link to a separate tutorial that will guide you. At this point, I am assuming that you have successfully set up your Cycle Cloud cluster and been able to connect to your scheduler machine. Now let's get started with the fun part. On the scheduler machine, we want to go ahead and set up our Cycle Cloud environment. First, run the sinfo command to see our compute nodes information. For this video, we have 4 compute nodes up and running in idle state. Next, we want to open up our docker daemon.json file to update our data root directory. This is where Docker data will be stored, including Docker images and containers. We want to update this to a directory called Docker data located in the shared file system to reflect where your data is stored. Once done, save and exit the file. Now we need our NGC API key. If you do not have one, then follow the next steps to generate one. To do so, you can go to the NGC site, click on the drop-down next to Profile, select Setup, click on Get API Key, click on Generate API Key, and then scroll to the bottom of the screen to copy a generated API key. With our newly generated NGC API key, we are ready to go back to the terminal to continue. First, we'll run the command to create a subdirectory in the config directory called enroute. Then we'll go ahead and save our credentials in the credential file. Run the following command and be sure to replace the text highlighted with our previously generated API key. Once the command has been executed, our Cycle Cloud cluster environment is set up and we are ready to go ahead and download the model and datasets. First, we want to go ahead and create a scratch space working directory in the shared file system. Next, we want to set the JAX scratch space environment variable to the scratch path that was created above. Then we want to create the data and model subdirectory for the T5 model and datasets. After that, we want to clone the workload optimized compute repository to the JAX scratch space. To do so, we first cd to the JAX scratch space. Next, we run the following command to clone the repository. Once a repository has successfully been cloned, cd to the script subdirectory by running the following command. The script subdirectory contains all the run scripts for running the benchmarks. Now we want to download the dataset by running a small model on a single node. The following command will allow us to download the dataset to a data directory in the JAX scratch space path. We can then go ahead and run the SQ command to make sure that this job has successfully been submitted. Once the download is completed, we want to go ahead and copy the data to the resource NVMe disk of the compute nodes in the cluster. Because this benchmark performance is benefited by faster storage, it is recommended that the data is stored in the rated NVMe disks. First, we run the sinfo command to get the names of our compute nodes. Then we run the following command to transfer data from our scratch path on the scheduler to the resource NVMe disk in our compute nodes. At this point, we have successfully downloaded our datasets and are now ready to run the T5 training benchmarks. To run the benchmarks, we need to set the JAX scratch space environment variable to the path where the data is stored in the compute nodes. Next, we run the T5 large benchmark with a batch size of 32 per GPU for a single VM. When that is complete, we want to go ahead and execute another command to run the extra large benchmark with a batch size of 8 per GPU for a single VM. After approximately 4 minutes, run the SQ command to make sure that the job has successfully been completed. Then open the log file for the large T5 training benchmark. Navigate to the bottom of the file to the section that has collection equal to train. For this exercise, the sequences per second is the metric of interest. We are seeing a throughput of 505.279 sequences per second on the T5X large model. Go ahead and save and exit the file. Open the log file for the extra large T5X training benchmark. Navigate to the end of the file to the section that has collection equal to train. We are seeing a throughput of 139.562 sequences per second on the T5X extra large model. Go ahead and save and exit the file. Congratulations, you have successfully ran the T5X training benchmark using NVIDIA JAX containers on Azure's NDm A100 v4 virtual machines. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more contents like this.